About 10,000 years ago, you are human, completely, undeniably human. You open your eyes, look around at the same faces you have known your entire life, and nowhere in your head does the thought appear that something is missing from this morning: war. And yet, here we are. Thousands of wars fought across every continent on Earth. Millions of people killed in conflicts over land, over resources, over ideas, over things that, from the outside, make absolutely no sense at all. We have entire industries built around war, governments that exist because of it, borders that were drawn by it, and a news cycle that has never, not once, run out of it. And we have absolutely no idea why we started. War is so woven into human history that we literally built entire civilizations around it. Think about that for a second. Every major empire you have ever heard of was built on war. Every border on every map was drawn by it. Every national holiday in almost every country on Earth is celebrating either a victory or a defeat. We have statues of generals in every city. We name our children after warriors. That is where we are. But why? When did this actually start? And more importantly, why did we do it when basically every other animal on the planet never did? Lions don't organize armies. Wolves don't siege cities. The chimpanzee, which shares 98% of our DNA, has never once drawn a border and said, "This side is mine, stay out." Actually, wait. Chimpanzees do go to war, genuinely. In 1974, a primatologist named Jane Goodall watched a group of chimpanzees in Tanzania systematically hunt down and kill every single member of a rival group, one by one, over 4 years. It was called the Gombe Chimpanzee War, and nobody had a clean explanation for it. So the question isn't whether violence exists in nature. It does. The question is something much harder. When did violence become organized? When did it stop being one animal attacking another and start being one group of humans deciding together to go and destroy another group they had never even met? And the answer involves something nobody expected. For most of human history, war simply didn't exist. And that's not a guess. That's what the evidence says. Anthropologists who study hunter-gatherer societies, the way humans lived for 95% of their existence, consistently find the same thing. Small groups, mobile, no fixed territory, no accumulated wealth, nothing worth fighting a war over. If a conflict broke out between two people, the group moved on. You didn't need an army. You needed a different campsite. Douglas Fry, an anthropologist at the University of Alabama, spent decades studying over 150 hunter-gatherer societies around the world. His conclusion was simple and deeply uncomfortable. For most of human history, war was not the norm. It was the exception. And in many cases, it didn't exist at all. So what changed? Here's the story we all learned in school. Two groups of early humans met at a border. One group wanted what the other had. The stronger group won, the weaker group lost. End of story. Simple, clean, logical. A 5-year-old could figure it out. Honestly, we all did figure it out around age 8, and then we never thought about it again. Except that's not quite how it worked. And once you look at the actual evidence, the whole neat story starts to fall apart, because the first organized conflict we have ever found in the archaeological record wasn't over food. It wasn't over land. It wasn't even over resources. It was over a lake. And this is where it gets genuinely hard to look at. In 2012, researchers excavating a site called Nataruk in Kenya found something that stopped them completely. 27 skeletons lying exactly where they fell. No burial, no ceremony, just bodies left at the edge of a lagoon that no longer exists, 10,000 years old. And when they looked closer, the evidence was impossible to misread. Crushed skulls, broken knees, hands still fixed in the position of someone who had been tied. A woman, heavily pregnant, face down in the mud, stone blades embedded in bone. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't a skirmish. This was a massacre. The oldest one ever recorded in human history. But what made Nataruk possible? The answer goes back 2,000 years before Nataruk, to something so simple it's almost embarrassing: grain storage. About 12,000 years ago, humans did something they had never done before. They stopped moving. They planted seeds. They built walls. They stayed. And the moment you stay in one place, everything changes. Suddenly you have a field, a harvest, a house, a storage pit full of grain that took you an entire year to grow. Things you cannot carry on your back when trouble comes. Things worth protecting. Things worth killing for. Researchers studying early agricultural settlements found something consistent across every single site. The moment grain storage appears in the archaeological record, conflict appears right alongside it. Fortified walls, weapons caches, mass graves, every time, without exception. The grain didn't just feed people, it started wars. Before grain storage, if someone took your food, you moved on. You found more. Losing was painful but not fatal. After grain storage, losing meant starvation. It meant your children didn't eat that winter. It meant everything you had worked for was gone. There was nowhere to move to. The land was yours. The grain was yours. And someone was coming to take it. But here's the thing. Ownership alone doesn't explain everything. Because owning something only matters if you believe it's yours. And believing something is yours requires something that hunter-gatherers simply didn't have: identity. The moment humans settled in one place, something shifted. You weren't just a person anymore. You were from here, this land, these people, this grain, and the people on the other side of the river. They were not us. And that one thought, that small, quiet thought, is the only thing that separates a neighbor from an enemy. And once you divide the world into us and them, everything becomes possible. You can't massacre a person you know, but you can massacre a group you don't. Every war ever fought has required exactly two things: something worth taking and a story about why the people you're taking it from don't count as much as you do. Those two things haven't changed in 10,000 years. The weapons changed. The borders changed. The reasons got longer, but the recipe stayed exactly the same. So, where does that leave us? War had a beginning, which means it can have an end. It is an invention, and like every invention, it required the right conditions to appear. Take away the grain, take away the fixed borders, take away the story about us and them, and the whole thing falls apart, which raises the most uncomfortable question of all. If war is an invention, can it be uninvented? That's not a question anyone can answer, but it's one worth carrying with you. Because here's what we do know. Every time you have drawn a line between yourself and someone else, every time you have looked at another person and thought, they are not like us, every time you have decided that what is yours matters more than what is theirs, you have been doing exactly what those people did 10,000 years ago at the edge of a lagoon in Kenya. The war didn't start with weapons. It started with a thought, and that thought is still very much with us.